Yep, I'm here. Hello, everyone.
Fine.
Let me share my screen. Great. Just let me know if you can see the screen.
Yes, seeing it.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Okay, everyone. Hello. My name is Chris. It will be much easier to call me Chris, right? It's closer to Christopher. I know that my Polish name can be a little bit tricky to say. So thank you very much for being here. Thank you for the great sessions that we already had. And today I would like to talk with you a little bit about the Canvas apps mastery. So how to create a sidebar navigation component. Few words about myself. So I'm a Power Apps consultant at JIT Team. If you would like to invite me on LinkedIn, you will have some questions that you don't like to ask here online. We can also go to the chat. You can scan the QR code, add me on LinkedIn. There are all my social medias over there. So I encourage you to become a virtual friends after this great event. So what will be the agenda for today? We'll talk a little bit about the introduction. So what actually sidebar navigation is. We'll talk about the UI and UX and some principles that would be good to follow. Named formulas versus collections. What's the differences or maybe similarities, how we can utilize them for sidebar navigation component. We'll have a few words about the model controls, creator kit, and we'll go to the component section. So sidebar navigation, what is it? How it became popular? Actually, currently pretty much everyone is using SaaS. So it's rapid peak growth of our online applications that we are utilizing. And navigation menus are quite vital for the user experience and the interface design. So we can create a user-friendly design that met products requirements to allow users work quickly, more efficiently, so they can understand where they are or where they should navigate to do certain actions. So regarding the Power Platform, do you think there is any sidebar navigation or site navigation in Power Platform? They are everywhere. So look, here you get 3 examples. Do you know from where they come from? I think you do. The first one is Power Apps, the middle one is the Power Automate, and then we've got solutions. So we as makers, developers, people who are utilizing Power Platform to create products, we exactly see the usage of sidebar navigation, and we are utilizing every day. So what about this one? Another one, right? But this one is inside our Canvas apps. So every time that we are creating a Canvas apps, we are utilizing a sidebar navigation that allow us to work, to switch between screens, manipulate the layouts. This is great. This is everywhere. So we pretty much know where it is in the Power Platform. We know how we utilize it and why we should utilize it. So let's deep dive into the UI UX. Myself, I'm not a designer. I'm learning the designs through creating applications for my clients, for my customers, by feedback by end users and looking online for the resources that shows the proper way to do things with some principles, UI UX principles. So you can see currently the 7 example of small site navigation. Why small? Because we can have also big, so we can have text added to it, right? So here you've got 7 examples how the small one can look like with different ways of communicating to the user where he currently is. So what item he selected, what screen is he currently on. So this is really good. We even have 8th that is not included here, the same that we are utilizing in the Power Platform. So it's really similar to number 3, but actually it got this label on the left side, right? So you can see that there is plenty of possibilities. So if we are talking about expanded sidebar navigation, we can add subcategories. We can make those categories to make the navigation easier. On top, we'll have the most important things, for example, and on the bottom, we can have not that important stuff. For example, our support part for our application. So report a bug, maybe some FAQs about the application, what it should do, how it should work, right? So we can do the logic split to make user understand that there is a different priority for different sections. So we can prioritize them. So how the collapsed, the small view should look from the UI perspective. Talking pixels, right? Pixel perfect is always what our end users wants and what business wants. So here you can see that it's really good to stay within the 16 pixel margin rule for the collapse view. So from the top, we have 16 pixels margin from the left side and right side. From the beginning to the end, we should keep the 16 pixels paddings. And our icon that we will use, or image, should be 20 pixels height, but the total space available for that image or icon should be 32 pixels. Why? Because our users don't only use applications on laptops or on PCs. They can use also mobile devices, iPads, tablets, phones. So this is the touch area. So you have to be sure that every finger every finger actually will be able to click it and select it, and it will not be too small. So the next one is the expanded some rules. As you can see here, we don't have 16 anymore. Here we have 20 pixels padding between left side and the right side, from the start to bottom or from the top, right? And then between the name of our application, we have also 20. But then between our records items, we have only 12. And the whole space that we need to provide to the end user is much bigger. It's 48 pixels, not 32. So what does it mean for us? Do we think that we should actually create a different version of our sidebar navigation for expanded and collapsed view? I don't think so. Those are only good practices, something that we should follow to make it quite well for the user, so it is intuitive, so they can understand what they should do and they should click everywhere. And it is really intuitive. So here you've got example that actually what we can do is we can change it, we can adjust it, those two approaches. As you can see, currently we are utilizing 16 pixels paddings, and 32 pixels are actually used for the section name, because this is the example of the section sidebar. And then our main button, maybe main product that we want to click on the navigation, it's 48. So what will happen if we will collapse it? We can stay at 48 pixels. We can only leave the icon or image that we will utilize, right? So even though you can find a lot of principles online, you can adjust them, combine them, and don't provide the UI to the user that if they will collapse the view, everything will get smaller. Let's stay consistent. If you will create 48 pixels, stick to it. It will be much better for your users and much less work for you. So those sidebars, which we spoke, those are for the tablets, those are for laptops, big screens, right? What about the mobile devices? Mobile devices have a little bit different view of navigation, because we don't have that much available space on phone to always have sidebar visible on the left or right side of our mobile. We don't have that range of our thumb to go there all the time that we need something. So you can exactly see that why the navigation on the mobile devices are below or the bottom. So there are plenty of different ways that we can utilize it and how we can make it, but still it is the selection point for the user that should be indicated. And this is mainly plenty of examples everywhere. We can also imagine few more, but there are a few things that we should follow. Every phone, iOS or Android device have on the bottom its own margin space that it needs for back buttons, for navigating out of the application. So we have to be sure that we will cover that whenever we will be creating our navigation. And the width and height are a little bit different here, but it's not that crucial. I believe that if you will like to deep dive into the UI and UX principles of site navigation and not only, you can utilize resources that are helping me to build my application and to explore a little bit more on the current topic. So this is the Instagram account for Ultimate UI UX. They are posting a lot of UI, really cool stuff designed with Figma, with Canva, good practices about, for example, sidebars. All the previous screens that you've seen, the principles, were taken from the Ultimate UI UX. Maybe not everything, because I've also utilized this UX Planet. So this link will redirect you directly to the sidebar navigation article. Well explained what is sidebar, its genesis, where it comes from, how we should use it, and also a few principles over there. So if we are talking about the principles, we can use the mobile device, we can use tablet, we can use PCs. So we should know about the few UX principles. Those principles are, for example, reposition, right? So what we have to have in our minds that if we will make our device smaller, or we will just minimize the window, or let's just keep making it slow, our application should be repositioned. Items should be changed, its positions. So the application should be responsive. So there are a few examples: reposition, replace, and re-architect. Why it is important? Because we should follow those paths on our Canvas apps to make the user experience quite flawless. And not only flawless, but to make sure that we are on the same path as every other application, because it is a design, this is a pattern, and pretty much I can say it is a requirement to follow those few. So, do you think we have some options to create this responsive sidebar navigation in our Canvas apps? Do you think that those principles of UX are available over there? Yes, they are, but not exactly the way that we would like to. Some things we have to do by our own, but for the sidebar, we have out-of-the-box screens that are predefined with containers. So as you can see, we have a sidebar navigation screen. There are a few containers over there. By default, the navigation container is placed on the left side of our application. So we can actually manipulate the approach of our containers. Are they horizontal or are they vertical? We can manipulate them based on the active screen size. We can manipulate them based on the device that we are using. But we have to be careful, because our navigation is not that easy to follow sometimes. Why? Because with that with our UI principles, UX principles, our sidebar navigation should go from right, or if we will have container, if we will say have sidebar on the right side, and we will make our application smaller, the navigation will go on the bottom. So this is the path that we would follow to create from tablet or PC to mobile navigation. But the issue is that plenty of our applications are we are not utilizing the site navigation on the right side. On plenty of places we are utilizing on the left side. So why on the bottom? I already told you that this is just the example that plenty of services, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, Microsoft Teams, Microsoft Outlook, have that navigation available for you at the bottom of the screen, and sometimes they have a button more so you can expand it and have more. XCOM is one of the big IT shops in Poland, so don't worry about it. Okay, so how we can manipulate based on the size of our application. So we do have available the active screen.size property. And we can define those. Those are predefined, but we can change those. So we have a table, pretty much table of pixels defined, 600, 900, 1200, I believe. So whenever we are in the range of from 0 to 600, we have a small screen size. So it is designed for phones, and the value is 1. If we are using the tablet, we get 2 or 3, depending if that is horizontal or vertical. And we can also have that for the desktop, for the computer. So bigger screens. So we can utilize those to change our sidebar navigation. Not only sidebar navigation, actually all containers. We can manipulate with those. If you will see at the current slide, you can realize that there is a small error. It's due to layout orientation. Layout direction. So actually for phone, we should go from top to bottom, not from left to right. So it's my mistake during the presentation. But as you can see, we can always go to the switch function, ask our property of active screen.size. Hey, what size are you? 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we can manipulate the data. We can change font size this way, right? It's much better to have a bigger font on the big device, and that we will not have font 14, for example, on our small mobile device, comparing to, I don't know, even a 13-inch laptop. It's a big difference. So what I can tell you, you don't have to take the value from active screen.size. You can just type the name of your screen that you are currently working on, .size, and you will get the same value. But the app.activeScreen property, it's much reusable. So if you will copy your content between your screens, you will not have screen dependencies, different screen dependencies, which is a performance error. Okay, so is it always that easy? We have out-of-the-box screens that we can utilize. We have containers which make those things responsive. Oh, I will go back for a second, tell you one thing. Those containers, if you haven't worked with them, it will be really good if you will try it out on your development environment and have fun with it for a while. Because even if we will specify the switch functionality, so it switches from horizontal to vertical, we have to be aware of one thing. If there is no declaration of changing, it still can change, depends on the value, because those are created to make Canvas apps responsive. So if we'll make smaller screen, it should automatically open. But on the PC, sometimes it doesn't. But on the mobile, it will be open differently than on the PC. So be careful, play around before you go to the production, and do this with your customer, your client, and business. Okay, getting back to the point of how easy it is, or not easy. So we have subcategories. Just the example of subcategories. So if we want to create our sidebar navigation, and we want it to be adjustable and working on a mobile device, what's going on with the categories? We will not be able to just switch it from one position to another. What's going on with those subcategories? We can handle that, but this is custom way, custom approach. So this is our work. So I encourage you to always be sure about your requirements. Always talk with your team, architects. If you're an architect, maybe with a product owner, find someone to talk with. It can be even project manager and different people on the same project. Why? Because we want to be sure that our path of design is clear. And if the requirements are not set, people are not, your team is not aware of it, there is nothing in the documentation, we can always go and talk with your customer. But before, make sure you talk with your team. So if you go to our customer, we have to be sure that we ask proper questions so we don't oversell. And we can, of course, oversell whenever we are sure that we can upsell. If we will have time and money for development, we can do this. So sometimes it's better to keep it simple, go with the easiest approach. But always check your requirements and be sure what customer needs. Because the biggest thing is, do we want to have a mobile application on our phones? Or the user will use only tablets or tablets and PCs? For example, for the project that currently I'm working, mobile devices are not allowed. We are not utilizing them due to too many UI UX changes, right? So we can use iPads, 11-inch or more, then we are using the desktops. So our design path is clear and easy, and we don't have to worry about the issues from changing the navigation from one side to another to be on at the bottom. So this is really important. So if there is a mobile app, your path is clear. If it is a PC tablet, your path is clear. If the customer really wants you to create all application, all mobile devices, all form factors application, talk about it. It will be much longer to develop this. Maybe it's better to create a small functionality for the mobile devices, for example, for the users that really needs it. So remember to talk. So the sidebar navigation approach. I see two. So this is interactive and a static. So what's the difference? Because we are talking about the navbar. Can we click it? Yes. Can it be static and still be selected? Yes. Can it navigate between screens and be static? Yes. So what is the difference between those? A collection and a named formula. So a collection is how we create a table inside our Canvas apps. And we can manipulate the data. So we can remove rows, we can add rows, we can update rows, right? We can clear everything and have empty table. We can add new columns, so we can manipulate with data. So this is interactive approach. And the static approach will utilize named formulas. So named formulas are available for a few months on Canvas apps, so I want to tell you a few things about it, but it is not named formula session. It's just a quick introduction, so we are on the same page. Where are we on? So the named formula actually is not that interactive as a collection, because the named formula is not updatable. The formula definition is immutable. So we cannot do any patch to it. We cannot add new records from our application. So this is the biggest difference that we need to put here. Another one is that we have to declare a collection. We have to initialize the moment at the application that this table, this collection will be created. So the user has to navigate to a certain screen. The user has to select a button. Then some actions will be executed, for example, creating a collection. With named formulas, it is different. We are defining a named formula, on the formula section, and the formula value is always for us available. It is not available whenever it is not used. It will become available for us at the moment that we will need it. So it is really performance efficient because we don't have to store a collection that is not used for some time. So that's really great. Of course, please remember that we can also assign the data sources to the named formulas, but then all the updates go from the data source perspective. You cannot enforce the refresh of the data source. So me personally, I do not use named formulas for the data source storage. I only use them to store variables, colors, fonts, some user definitions, static collections for dropdowns, for example, or for my sidebar navigation. So the easiest way to say about interactive collections from my perspective is to go back to the topic of the sidebar that is available through the Power Platform. Are you familiar with this one? It came a few months ago, and what it allowed us is to choose what actually items we want to see on our sidebar navigation. So we can choose if we want to see tables, flows, solutions, or maybe chatbots, right? Our AI hub, whatever. We can pin them. And what is really great, we can unpin them all, pin them in a different order, and have a different order of our sidebar navigation section of or different order of items. So this is really good. If we want to have interactive collection, this is the perfect example. And for that example, I would encourage you to use collections. But named formulas are really good enough because here you can see an example of a sidebar that I've created, especially for this session, where I've utilized named formulas. So we create something like a collection, a table with named formulas, but it is not changeable. I cannot add new items based on the user interaction. I can define them earlier and work with the visibility of the items. So this is really cool. I can select item and I will be navigated. I can play with it around, but I cannot change the data sources inside, the data values. So now it's the quickest way to start with the sidebars. The first one is don't do any at all. It's the quickest one. Sometimes we don't need it. So always remember this is also an option. Then we have the modern control tabs. And we have a creator kit. So you will be able to create really quick sidebar navigation that is fully responsive, maybe have some small issues, but you can make it from 15 minutes, a quarter of an hour to 1 hour. Maybe you can spend a little bit more time on it, but the custom component, something like this one, can take you much, much more time. So if we have time and money on the project, we can play with it. If we don't and we need sidebar, go with the modern controls on creator kit if you are allowed to use it. So how much time the custom component take? Depending on your experience, from 2 hours to 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. It also depends not only from experience, but complexity. So have any one of you used modern controls? If not, I'll show you how to turn them on if you do not have them already. You navigate to settings of your Canvas apps, go to general and toggle on the modern control and themes. So that's all. Maybe it will ask you to save and refresh the application. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But then we will have model control tabs functionality available for us straight out of the box. So what we can do, we can take our out of the box sidebar screen template, go to navigation, sidebar navigation section, then insert over there our modern control tabs, define the data source, a collection or a named formula, or maybe a dynamic one, if there is a need for that, and boom, it's done. It's responsive, it's available for you, it will change its place from left to top. So it will be a tab, right? So what are the pros? Out of the box, quick to configure, fully responsive, and we can add emojis. The shortcut for emojis, if you're working on Windows, it's Windows plus dot. And you will be able to use emojis. And this is really good pro tip because they work also on Power Automate. You can use them in adaptive cards. So this is really cool if you don't know from where to take your emojis or some icons. It's great. There's no issues within the component of the control tabs. And cons, they don't support images, they don't support icons, and they cannot be more customized. This is a shame, but this is why it takes you 15 minutes to configure, right? If you will play with those Windows dot emojis icon, it will take a little bit more. So you can see the example how it looks like as left side navigation. And here you have side-to-side comparison. Left side navigation with the modern tabs, and on the right side, how it looks whenever we will have a smaller device. So it will add 3 dots, and when we will select it, it will have the list of rest of our items. Is it good? Yes, it's quick, it's great. The issue, another issue is that if we'll have too long text, we will see only part of it. So it's quick, that's really good. When I was creating this session, just few days before, Reza Dorani, and I deeply believe that everyone from the Power Platform world should know who this man is, created a video how to create sidebar navigation with those tabs controls. So if you want to go in depth into that topic, if you would like to have more than I've told you, you can scan this QR code, go to Reza's YouTube, and watch the full, I think, 15 or 20-minute video, how to configure it end to end and how it will work. So this is really good to start with. You don't have to figure that out by yourself. So I really recommend to go for Reza's approach here. Okay, the next one, if we're talking about out-of-the-box functionalities like motor controls, what about Creator Kit? Maybe someone have used it. So we have few options available over there. So the first one is expand menu control, and I really like the design. It looks really good, and I cannot wait for it to be available because currently it is in the experimental mode. And the thing with Creator Kit is that it's a great tool. People provided a lot of effort, big kudos for that. But sometimes they go to the experimental, they are really long in the experimental phase, they don't go to general availability quickly. Sometimes they are deprecated quite quickly. So we have to think whenever we are utilizing Creator Kit for a few examples, right? So this is navigation control. It looks really good. Looks really clean. Don't have much in common with the principles we talked about, but it's different sites. Sorry. So this is multi-selection section nav control. It looks really good. I really like it. I can't wait to use it someday whenever there will be a need. So have any one of you used components? If not, I will tell you a few things quickly. With what should we start? What are the components? So components are reusable building blocks for our Canvas application so that the app makers, developers can create custom controls to be used inside application or across plenty of application by utilizing component library. So components can use advanced features like as custom properties, enable complex capacities. So what is the most important? You think about something that you create in your application plenty of times. Site navigation, header, footer, FAQ, For example, you want to create one FAQ, you want to create one header, and then make it available on each screen. So how actually it helps us? It helps from the performance efficiency perspective. If we will create a sidebar navigation and we will copy it to 5 different screens, let's assume we use 5 screens. So we have this particular item has to be created in our application 5 times. The UI has to be loaded 5 times, generated. If we'll add to that header, maybe some footer, so you can see that we have 15 items that will be loaded on each screen, and there is no need for that. We can create a reusable thingy, and that thingy is a component. We can create it once. It will be defined once, initialized once. So we will use it across all screens, but it is still one. So it's great. And it's the efficiency that we worry, not only, also how we create it. If we'll create a component, populate it on the 5 screens, and we need to do a change, we make a change under the component, and it will be straight away available on all 5 screens. You don't have to go and make change on the screen after screen after screen. We save time, we save resources. It's great. I really recommend to utilize components. They can have custom properties, function, events, actions. So you can have functions inside of it, and they can do a lot of stuff, and they can have access to our application data. What you have to do whenever you create a component, go to the right side where there's metadata is being defined, and select the toggle. Where is it? Oh, this one. Access up scope. Then it will allow us actually to utilize collections, named formulas, everything what is available in our application, even variables, but global variables. Everything has to be global variable. Collection is available global, named formula global, global variable defined by set function, it's global. Update context is local for the screen, it will not work here, right? Okay. So we have to go back to our definition for the component. So define your UI data. Let's go back to the formulas. You select the app on the left tree view. You go to the combo box on the top, defining the metadata, select formulas, and you can write over there. If you haven't used named formulas yet, on the right side on the slide, you can see how you can define a basic, I would say, like a table. Well, maybe not exactly a table, but yeah. What is the most important thing? You use equal sign, curly brackets, and semicolon at the end. Each item created has to have semicolon at the end. Even if you create one item, it has to have semicolon at the end. So can we create tables in our named formulas? Yes, we can. So we define a name equals a table brackets, and then define it as we are utilizing, creating it in the table function collection. It's really easy. As you can see on the code, I use nf underscore prefix. Why? Because I want to be sure that I know whenever I'm using named formulas. This nf allows me to quickly establish from where that data is being taken. And if I want to go and take these values, I will be, oh, it's named formula. So I always use nf underscore, and then PowerApps is telling me, oh, you have those many items available, choose one. So the naming convention is also helpful and is allowing us to work quicker and more efficient. So how it look the collection definition for our sidebar here? We have to collect it. So it has to be an action. As you can see, the code is pretty much similar, but in the clear collect, we have the name of the collection. In the named formula, we have only the name of the formula. no clear collect, no action. It will be available when it is needed. So what's the difference? Mainly that collections can be updated. So we can use patch, update if, remove if, and we can do error handling. If the value of named formulas are unmutable, then we cannot do anything about it pretty much. But if we are, if our requirement is to have updatable sidebar navigation, then you have to always remember that it has to be defined on select, visible on start. Somewhere you have to create that collection. Okay. So you already know this example, why we would like to create updatable sidebar navigation within the collection if we have really big use case, like this one from our Power Platform sidebar, that we want to allow users to manipulate with the order or from the items that they see. But it's really custom, and do we need it? Not always. Okay, we are at Create Your Component section. So as you can see, we have collapsed view, expanded view, how to get to the components, what is the next step to create a component. So on the tree view on the left side, you have screens and the components. This is a tab. So we navigate to the tab components, then we select at the top of that section, which is below the components tab, new component. Then the new component is being created. We define the access app scope, the name, the description, and then we can start working with our containers to make it also responsive. So on the right side, you can see an example of site navigation. You make it's like a code, right? So I like to split some things. If I'm going into quite more difficult UI UX development, like this one, where we have an icon, image, as we have some hover properties, we have some text. This text is sometimes visible, sometimes not visible. If we collapse it, we manipulate the arrangement that we want that the icon always to be at the middle. So it's really good from my perspective to utilize a container for each of those sections. It will just be a little bit easier, right? Also, if that is inside a gallery, then inside the gallery, I also defined a container where I define stuff. Okay, so we have just few minutes more. So I would like to go to the application and show you a few things, how we can work with stuff regarding our sidebar navigation. It will be more like a quick demo. Okay. Let's go to the window size. I hope everyone can see the application. I assume yes. If not, please let me know. Maybe not through the chat, but yeah. So what we have here is our out of the box navigation bar screen. So as you can see, this is our property that we are utilizing. We have our width, height, right? Let's go to the code. So this is a container. What I did is I've only added a label over there to provide few metadata for us. Here, what is really cool. On app.active screen or current screen of the name, we can see not only the size of the screen, so what form factor we are utilizing. We can always see the orientation. Is it horizontal or is it vertical? And based on that, we can also manipulate a few things. Okay, so what is max width? This is a variable that is defining the width of the container. So whenever I toggle it, it's here. Okay, width. So whenever I toggle it, I will have a different size. Why it matters? Because it is a showcase how it will work on different devices. So if I'll switch from tablet to mobile, we should go from expanded view to collapsed view. And this toggle is just allowing us to create this mock-up functionality. Let's navigate to a different one, right side navigation. It works well. So this is outside of the box, straight and easy. Here we got modern controls. So I can select it, right? And I will be navigated. I'm navigating through plenty of different screens, so maybe I'll not do it. But here, this is the same screen, pretty much. It's just copied. The same functionality, but we are utilizing the modern control tab. As you can see, when I change the width to be at the mobile view 64 pixels, I'm losing some data. I'm losing the visibility of them. So the responsiveness is there, but it's not that great. There is a certain limit that we will see our text. So how does it look like? Let's open the component, the container. So we have a tab list. And that's all. So how we should add it? Insert, modern, and here you get a tab list. So this is pretty much all that you have to do. Let's do this. Boom. Okay. And now it is pretty much working. Now we have to only define the data source and navigation through different screens. So this is really nice, right? Nice and easy, at least for now. Okay. So we can have that on both sides. The issue is, it's the issue, it's not the issue. If you would like to create a right side navigation, you cannot manipulate the tab control, at least for now, to be aligned to the right side of the page. It will be always aligned to the left side, right tab. So you will have a different experience that we might thought that would be great. Okay, so this is utilizing component. So what I did here, I actually go to components. And I've created the same way my tab list as I did on the screen. But right now, I don't have to define it on each screen. So I will duplicate it 5, 6, 7 times and decrease application efficiency. I've created it once. It will be available all over the application when I will add it. How to add a component? You select Insert, go to Classic View and Custom. Now, whatever we will select, oops, which one is it? Modern control, I should figure that out. Okay, it will be available for us here. If we will select those 3 dots, we can say edit component. We will be navigated automatically to that component and we can work with it, play with it. On the right side here, you can see the access app scope. This is what I was mentioning during slides presentation. It is really important to available access if we want to utilize data from our application. Okay, let's go to submit. This is our custom component. As you can see, I've got a hover effect. I've got navigation effect, right? Oops, something went differently. I didn't. Yeah, as this is only a presentation application just for the session, I haven't specified all the data sources, but inbox and session works perfectly. So look, this is all custom. I can make it smaller. I can collapse. I can expand. I can collapse one, keep another one. I have tooltip effect. This hover, I can make it small and still it will be collapsed. I still have hover tooltip. I still will be able to select. Of course, I selected wrong one, right? Ooh, those demo gods are always with us. Okay, so it's really cool. We have defined our home. I can expand it. And there's one more thing that I want to show you, and this presentation will be over. So look, We can create admin settings, so we can manipulate the amount of items that we will provide to the user inside our sidebar navigation. This is just filter function, show hide. If the user have admin permissions, do something about it. And we can manipulate the horizontal type. Look, this is our example that we can create sidebar changeable from the left side to the bottom. But you know what? This actually is not true, especially that this is section navigation. Look here. What I've created is I've created the left navigation, I've created the right navigation, the sidebar navigation. The right sidebar is never visible. If we will open our application on tablet, right? It will not go from the left side to bottom. So I've created another one on the right side. I said I don't want sections, just use a different data source, edit events, session, inbox, audit logs, and create me a bottom container. And this is like a bottom navigation. So I've changed another container from right side to be at the bottom. So this is not performance efficient. This is not really good to follow, but if there is a need, we can customly make it. So it's all from my side. Thank you very much. If you haven't added me on LinkedIn, but you would like to, here's a QR code again. Thank you very much for your attention. And thank you very much for the organizers group for Baltic Power Platform Bootcamp 2024 in Egypt. You've provided amazing lineup of speakers, a lot of effort for this. So big kudos and thank you to you for this amazing event. And thank you for choosing me to be here with you today.